Hello, 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 hello. This is Rhapsody, your friendly neighborhood growth hacker, aka the Reverend Dr. Rhapsody, aka Mr. Transformer, aka Rhapsody Barrero. Wishing you and yours a wonderful day, hoping that you had one. If it's the end of the day when you're watching this, hoping that you have one, should this be the beginning of the day when you're watching this. And today, as they say, and now for something totally different. We're going to, first off, I'm testing out my new headphones to see how well they produce what we want to produce. And secondly, I would like very much to get comments on your experiences with falsehoods. So, we're going to start with falsehoods that I believed as a child. One of the first ones that comes to mind is over my left elbow. At the time of the running, back in the mid-60s, from 64 to 67, I genuinely thought that when a program showed up and they said that it was in color, that I would, on my black and white television, see the show in color. And I know that there's like younger people that are like, black and white television? What's that? Well, that is what television used to be before the 70s when they came out in color. Actually, no, they had them in the 60s, but they were like the price of a house, maybe a small house or a really nice car. And I know in my house we didn't acquire a color television until the late 70s. And that's just how that worked out. So, for me, that was one thing. I thought that if they told me that the show was in color, that on my black and white TV, at some point, that the show would show up in color. It reminds me, so many times I would see the movie The Wizard of Oz, one of my favorite movies of all time, and when they would be at the Emerald City, and the guy who they didn't know was the wizard was the guy who was narrating the section, was telling them about a horse of a different color. And for me, forever, again, still only seeing black and white TVs, I didn't know what they were talking about. I just figured it was a figure of speech, something, some kind of goof, some kind of joke. Until I paid attention one year, as an adult, watching The Wizard of Oz, my favorite movie of all time, and paid attention to that section and then realized that the horse was actually changing color every time the horse was in a new frame. Interesting stuff. Bouncing back to the Batman kick, one of the other falsehoods that I had fallen prey to, because I was a Bat fan from the word go. From as soon as I started seeing this thing, I was like, that. So many people try to figure out or trying to guess or wanting to know what they want to be when they grow up. And I knew what I wanted to be when I grew up because I grew up watching Batman. And I know. I was like, that's the goal. Millionaire philanthropist. Make a bunch of money, give away a bunch of money to good causes. Life is good. So that's still the goal, still the mission. But on the Batman realm, I remember this one time I had this great idea. The start of many great ideas I would have in my life. But I had this great idea because I had this twig from a tree. It was an old twig, so it was hard. And I had this section of rope that was like, multiple pieces of twine tied together, a triple braided cord, if you will. But it was old. It was an old piece of rope. So I took this old piece of rope that was just long enough to reach, and I tied it to this twig and I put it in between the wrought iron fence that circled the terrace of my backyard, the porch, my back porch of the house we were living in at the time. And I thought to myself it would be a good idea to back climb up the side of this porch, because the porch was it was definitely, I would say, almost about half a floor higher than the concrete, than the ground. So I set it up to do that and put the twig in the wrought iron fence, grabbed hold of this old piece of rope, and all I can remember is that first step, after which I blacked out. When I came to, I was laying down on the couch in the living room, and everybody was just glad that I was still alive. And I'm thinking, now that I reflect on it, that that's very likely the point that started an ongoing challenge, because for the longest time, I used to get really bad headaches. Didn't know where they came from. They were just really bad. And my dad gave me the excuse of, well, that's because your brain was bigger than your skull, which didn't make sense that I look at it as an adult. As a child, I needed something that made sense, and as a child, it makes perfect sense. I was like, okay. So my brain is bigger than my skull. That's why I get these horrible headaches all the effing time. Okay. On the line of falsehoods that I believed as a child, did you ever have some grown person tell you not to eat the seeds from watermelons, or you will have a watermelon grow in you? Not to eat the seeds from apples, or you will have an apple tree grow in you? I believe that. I believe that so much that I was literally riddled with fear should I accidentally swallow a watermelon seed. And interestingly enough, I found out later on in life, much later on, like recently, that apple seeds can actually be used to fight cancer. So much, oh my goodness, so much of what we just discard as worthless turns out can be used for healthy things. Like if you have avocados, if you're in the habit of taking avocados whole, well, I found out one thing about avocados today, that if you take the skin and ingest the skin, I guess you could probably like shave it down or however that would work, that can help with weight loss. The thing I found out about the pit of the avocado is you can shave it down and use it for tea and make tea out of it, and that also will help aid in the fight against cancer. Okay? Okay. So let's see. I'm thinking that's all that there was regarding falsehoods that I believed as a child. If any more come, I will let you know. But that's that for now. Okay. Falsehoods that I believed as an adult. And some of this is just, holy cow. Unbelievable. Silly. You've got to be like, is he serious? And I'm like, yes, I'm very serious. Like one thing that I found out, I thought that all this time that presidents talking about law and order were seriously all about simply restoring law and order. Turns out that if you follow the 13th documentary, outstanding documentary on the 13th Amendment, I suggest you watch it. You will learn all kinds of helpful stuff that if you're a person of color, you'll probably be really irritated, like I was genuinely irritated, really angry, but it's there for your perusal. It's called The 13th. It's a documentary on the 13th Amendment. And the thing about the 13th Amendment, actually, that's another angle of falsehoods believed as an adult. On face value, at face value, the 13th Amendment, the mission for that was supposed to be, allegedly, on the cover of the magazine, the ending of slavery. Upon closer inspection, it turns out that basically they just flipped the script. I don't want to go into details because I'd like for this thing to actually play out and to not have different platforms knock it down. But basically, it wound up making it easier for people of color to be arrested, basically. Thus, feeding the prison industrial complex. Even way back then, I don't know if they were thinking about it that back then. I think they were just doing their best to keep a brother down, if you will, and that was just the way that went down. So I thought that Law and Order was just about maintaining law and maintaining order, when all it really was a further perpetuation of the growth of the prison industrial complex, because that was just easier, more palatable to the masses, because who's going to read into this that they're just trying to put more brothers in jail so that they can have them work for next to no money and make money from that, because the prison industrial complex gets paid for the amount of people that they have in prison. So in order to make more money, they need to have more people in prison. Because, I mean, think about it today, with the legalization of marijuana, so many different places in the world and several different states in the Union, you would think that anyone who had been arrested for simply being a participant, for simply being caught with marijuana, would be released from prison. Because, hey, it's legal now. But, no. Because that's more people that we would have to replace if we let all these people loose, and they're already used to being here. They're comfortable, they're fat, dumb, and happy. They get 3 meals a day, they get to do exercise, they can go to the library and read. Sure, they don't have any freedom. Oh man, this is so bad. Okay, it's true though, but okay. All right. Aha. Yeah, another wonderful, marvelous, outstanding untruth. Well, it's okay, I'm calling it an untruth because it is, but in this sense, it's called marketing. Oh, God. So many people are tired of their jobs. They would love to spend time with their family. They would love to work from home, but if they're in a production job, they can't work from home because you can't bring all the machinery back to the house. So people put out these wonderful programs with all these airy-fairy results that a certain few people are getting. Well, unless you're talking about the, and it's not a sponsor at all, the Andrew Tate thing, that's a genuine article because he's got, like, experts in these different fields that you follow, and if you follow their guidance, you will get the results. The majority of the other people, they're just like, the name of the game is make it, first of all, you take all of your best people and put those people out front so that people will think that, oh, it happened for all of those people, it can happen for me. And, and the important part, make it sound really, 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 really easy. Make it sound easy. Like for the longest time, different people were talking about and promoting just like sending text messages, making $2,000 to $3,000 a month from the comfort of your home on your cell phone. They don't mention anything about how much work you will actually physically have to do in order for that to happen. They don't talk about the possibility of, retinopathy or what have you and whatnot from, texting all day. I learned about that from Pokemon way back in the day. Not Pokemon. What was that? Pac-Man. Yeah, because we had an Atari that, 2 games. It came with Pong, and we bought Pac-Man. And I played Pac-Man to the point where I had polyneuropathy in both of my thumbs because moving the joystick around, it just wound up messing up your nerve endings and making your thumbs pins and needly and what have you and whatnot. See, I'm trying to think. I know there's got to be more stuff. Oh. Yikes. Yikes. This is one that I alluded to it in the last video, and at this point, since we're talking about falsehoods, I might as well just break it out on this one. Let the pitchforks fly where they may, that really there isn't a hell, unless you imagined it for yourself, and then when you pass on to the next level of existence, that is where you'll be. If you culminate the idea that when you pass on to the next level of existence, that all you will experience is joy, then all you will experience is joy. Because the reality is, when you pass on to the next level of existence, you're just returning back to the ocean of infinite intelligence, the ocean of infinite knowledge, where everybody came from, and everybody shows up on the planet as a drop of the substance from infinite intelligence, and all that there is out there is wisdom, knowledge, and joy. It's just joy. I mean, you would think, again, making reference back to that wonderful, wonderful program, if you haven't seen it, I believe it's either on Netflix or Prime or both, The Good Place, talking about a version of what happens when you move on to the next plane of existence. You would think that eventually, and it's very possible that eventually, you'll get to a point where, joy becomes the norm, and since joy is the norm, eventually, after several millennia, you will likely get bored. And for me, I'm like, I have a hard time thinking that's possible, but it would be for some people who aren't trying to help anybody else anyway, and they're just out there in a river of joy, in an ocean of joy. For me, I would think that moving on to the next level of existence, that allows me the non-physical capability to not only have access to the ocean, but also access to every other living person still on the planet, able to pass on the knowledge that they need to help them in their lives because they're still here and they still need the help. And they likely want the help, and if they knew how to access the help, they would access the help. And some people attempt to access the help incorrectly, or through some misnomer, or through some false information, and that doesn't get them where they want to be. But me, as one who is already giving, as a person living on the planet, once I move to the next level of existence, I will be able to continue to give infinitely, forever, to all of the people who are still here, that still need help, that still need guidance, that still want to help, that still want to help make the world a better place, if but for the knowledge, the awareness, the understanding of what it takes to make that happen. So that's what I would do on the next level of existence because, I mean, sure, I'll float around in the river of joy. I'll float around in the ocean of joy for a while until I get bored. And then I remember, oh yeah, there are people who are still here that need help, that need guidance, that need the access to the power that I have access to now. And I'm now free to literally fly all over the planet and find people in need and drop little seeds of knowledge here and there to help them get to where they need to be in order to better themselves, in order to better their fellow man, in order to better benefit mankind, in order to make their world a better place. And I can't imagine a better thing to do with your time, your infinite time, once you pass on to the next level of existence. That's me personally. You, do you, feel free. I mean, if you're happy just laying around in an ocean of joy for eternity, knock yourself out, kick your feet up, have a mimosa. I mean, I don't know if you could get drunk in the afterlife. Probably not. But, have a time, do you, enjoy your life. Anyway, that's it for today. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you. And once again, please, 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 like the video, subscribe to the channel, and leave comments on what your childhood falsehoods were, on what your adult falsehoods were. I'm just really interested to know. It's just a point of curiosity. So I query thee to share with me thine childhood and adulthood falsehoods. Please, I'm just curious. Just curious. Until then, until tomorrow, thank you so much for your time again. I appreciate you. We love you long time. Oh yeah, and remember, in the description, there's a link to gain access to 1 free week of the Magnetic Mind Masterclass. We have dubbed it the last personal development program that you'll ever need because it is indeed and in fact the last personal development program that you will ever need. So full of so much good stuff. That first week, that's at least 7 live sessions that you'll be able to gain access to. And while you're waiting for live sessions, there are literally 6 years of sessions that have gone on before then. All you need to do is put a topic in the search bar and you'll get a history, a library of different sessions on the different topics that you put in, and you can go check some of those out. It's all good stuff. I'm here to tell you, you will not be sad, you will not be mad with time spent in the Magnetic Mind Masterclass. Also, after your free week, you can pay up front, sure. If that's an issue for you, if that's a challenge for you, they are more than happy to work with you, setting up payment programs, setting up a payment plan in order for you to continue to participate in the Magnetic Mind Masterclass. It runs a year, 12 months, 12 months of this goodness, 12 months of the live goodness, 12 months of access to 6 years of previous goodness. It's just goodness all around goodness. Again, thank you for your time. Click on the link in the description and pick up your free week of the Magnetic Mind Masterclass. Please share the video, please like the video, please subscribe to the channel, and please do leave a comment on what your childhood and adult falsehoods were. Until then, we'll see you tomorrow on another video. Okay? Yeah, okay. Until then, bye-bye, everybody. Yeah.